Alright, so if you want to know whether doing PhD work in UK or Europe is good for you after doing Masters of Life Sciences or Biological Sciences stream in India, then this video is just for you. If you aim to do your PhD work in UK or in the different countries of Europe, then this video is just for you, because we divide this video in different parameters based on the research activity, the research quality that you might get, the stipend that you'll be offered, the work life balance you would have, the living condition that you may face, and the future prospect of your PhD and future application of your PhD in that country or countries around the world. If you wanted to know that, then this video is just for you, because in this video we are going to discuss about all these parameters and then judge whether doing PhD from European countries, from UK, is worth it for you or not. Okay, so watch this video from start to the end to understand that.
Whereas in UK and in Europe, the research is fast paced, but they tend to stick to newer version, not the newest version, because there is some limited funding as compared to US. So if someone wants to stick to industry, I would say Europe, doing a PhD from Europe is advantageous. Why? You complete your PhD in 3.5 years. You have a lot of industrial collaboration. There's a concept of industrial PhD that is going on in Europe, and you have a lot of directly. You can directly get recruited by the university, by the industry after your PhD. So, if you want to do academia, I would choose US, and if you want to do industry, I would choose Europe. So that would be my roughly categorization of like who should apply to which place.
Fine. So if somebody need to choose between European countries and US, then they need to go through all these aspects. Like as you said, the cost of living largely varies from person to person, and also
Yeah.
the way they spend, the way they live. Right. So that is something as a personal opinion. But apart from that, for future application, for future aspiration, if somebody need to work in industry and stay there and build a career outside of India, then Europe is the choice. And if you need to build a career in academics, you're looking into the academic field, then US is a better choice.
Yeah.
That is a summary for this part of the question. Okay. Now, what is the salary average expenditure and average income a person can have in US as well as in European countries? If you differentiate between the two.
Okay, so for European countries, after tax, you get around 2,400 to 2,500 euro per month, like a PhD student salary. But that can vary across different countries because of taxes and because of other things. In I'll break down the cost of living as well. Let's go for Europe. Europe, anywhere you are living, you will spend across 800 to 1,000 euro for your living, for your accommodation, and then you have 300 to 400 euro for your like food and everything. Health insurance is covered, so you don't need to worry about that.
Insurance is covered by the employer, I mean the
By the
institute.
university, or by the lab you're working.
So if you see that in Europe, approximately the maximum cut 800, so 1,000 for the accommodation and food, like 1,500. So it's a 1,500. So you end up in saving 1,000, roughly 1,000 euro a month. You'll end up
Yeah.
saving, yeah.
Same here.
You'll see and in US also. Okay. One more vital question is there. Throughout this time frame of doing PhD in US as well as in European countries, as in do you get time to upscale yourself in some way? Do you get the sufficient time? And second thing, do you require to do any other job in order to sustain you, or is it possible to do it as a part-time jobs or any other things along with that to make some extra income? Two questions around there.
In Europe, you get a plenty of time to work on yourself. Like you have, because normally when it in Europe it says 9 to 5, they mean 9 to 5. So you won't see your PI after 5 p.m. They will go home. You won't see your maximum, like like European friends working after 5 p.m. So you get a lot of time. Second, in Europe you can't do part time. Like if you're paid, you can't do a part time, because that's something clause across like European Union, that you are getting paid and there's some work limit that you can only work. So that the work hour limit is already covered in your PhD contract.
So as I understood from here is that in Europe there is a fixed time frame where the people work, and beyond that time frame you don't need to work. You need to work in that time frame, and industry should be your target in order to fetch a job
Down the
later on.
streets. Whereas in
And
Europe, I would say you can walk across the streets even at night, even at midnight, like even 3 a.m., 2 a.m. It's okay. But in US, normally people don't suggest you to work out or like roam around outside like at 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. because it's not that safe, and especially if you're alone, because of the gun violence and because of the other rules that are there, and because and as compared to also in Asia, Asia is much safer. Like you can go around at least in 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. because there's more regulated, more police are there, and the gun violence is less. So in terms of safety, I meant that level of safety. So
okay, okay, got it. One more query is that what is the level of a person is leaving their house, leaving their home, they are acquainted here in India, and they're traveling to a country which is completely new to the person up until they reach there. So there are times I know numerous students of mine, they are there, there is a sudden time they call me and say like I'm literally like, I'm doing things good, my work is going fine, but still there is a vacant place somewhere in my mind, like I'm away from my home, I cannot go every single occasion to that place. So in that case one thing matter is friendship, academic relationship, and the relationship with you with your colleagues, the relationship with you with your PI, the lab head. So in terms of this nourishment of human contacts and relationships, how do you rank US, European country, and Asian countries?
I would say one of the reason I shifted from Europe to US is because I was mostly settled in Germany. What happens, like if you tend to have a German PI, and again it's very subjective. If you tend to have a German PI, and if you have a lot of German colleagues in your lab, and you are the only international people, and you don't know German as a language, you tend to miss out. Because what will happen is that German people in a lab gathering, they will talk to you in English, but English is not their primary language. So if there are a lot of German people, they will immediately switch to uh, their language. So tend you get this idea of missing out from your lab context. I faced this while I was in Germany because I had these two labs where I worked in a lab where the lab head was German and there are a lot of German people, and I was only international people. And I also had a lab where the lab head was not German and there were a lot of international people, and I was also the international people. So I know the difference because when there's a lot of international people, all of them know English.
Right.
Like they have different languages. I know Bengali, someone know Brazilian, and something on the other end. So you tend to mix a lot. Whereas in certain part of Europe, like Paris, like some parts of Paris, so it's very lab specific. So you tend to miss out that. But in US, since the entire population is either international, either US, you get to gel a lot with your lab.
What will happen afterwards? Right? Because that is what everybody is trying to figure out. Like we are applying to to do PhD outside of India. Get there, either is European countries, USA, Asian countries. The time is done, right? 5 years, 7 years, whatever time frame it is, it's over. After that time frame, how a student, from their perspective, look into this, like when they start acting in terms of getting a job and staying there in that country, or get out of that country getting a job in India, there are two aspects out there. Okay, so tell me regarding the mindset of a student and what's supposed to be a proper mindset in order to stay either in that country or to get out of that country, and when they should start planning it from the time of their PhD completion.
So normally, if you're aware, like so from PhD perspective, I would say uh, PhD, after you have done your PhD, one easy transition is like industrial transition. It's like if you want to switch to industry. So you can switch to industry in US, you can switch to industry in Europe. So that's the easy transition. Why I would say easy transition? Because normally if you want to be in academia, postdoc is one another layer that you need to add. So getting a postdoc is relatively easier, I would say, because why? Because postdoc doesn't have a portal, right? So you get either directly to a lab collaborator who have been working on your project. So that is an easy transition. But if you don't want to do a postdoc, if you directly want to switch to industry, you have options. Like switching to industry needs, you should think from like the end of your third year that do I have the skills to switch to a university? So let's say if you are from an ecology background and you need to do the research that time that okay, if I want to switch to industry, what are the ecological industry that are there? What are the skills they require for me to apply? So I think that from the third year end, you should think that and try to build on those skills because that skills are important. Industry is way more tougher, I would say, as compared to academia. Academia is an easy transition because you get directly recruited by a collaborator or let's say a lab you are applying because people don't stay in academia a lot. So that is the thing. And regarding coming back to India, I have seen a lot of people after PhD come back to India to do a industrial job, which is very readily accepted because in Indian university, again, India is a biotech university going up, and they want to recruit people who have done like things from abroad. And regarding academia, I'll touch a little bit on academia as well. So after PhD, you go to a postdoc, you do a postdoc. So after postdoc, you again have this dilemma that whether I want to do a industry or whether I want to do a academia. So academia in US or in Europe, I would say it's all basis that whether you are getting a grant or not, or whether you're bringing a grant under your name or not. If you are struggling with that, you won't get a direct position of being a professor, being a PI. So you get into assistant professors and so on, and you need to try on to bring a grant. But if you want to come back to India, I think the age limit is 35. Before that, you need to apply. And also, if you have done your PhD and postdoc from QS ranking and PhD ranking under 500, you don't need to even give CSI and NET to be a professor. So you can directly apply. And it's a trend, like it's a trend that I'm seeing nowadays with a lot of these universities that are growing. Let's say I will give you an example. Let's say Ashoka University, they're recruiting very excellent professors who have done like PhD and postdoc from outside and with a lot hefty amount, and they're coming and setting up their lab in India. So if you have done postdoc outside, like US or Europe in a good place, there are higher chances of you getting a position in India because you see a lot of people who are in the PI position in TIFR, in TBS, in any other. They have at least done their postdocs in from US or from Europe. So these are the chances more. So thinking from like future perspective, there are different junctures from PhD because after PhD, postdoc getting into directly a PI position is very rare. But you can end up getting into, let's say, there one of my senior I know who have done the PhD and got directly into being a chief scientific officer in CSIR, in one of the CSIR institutes. So these are small examples, but mostly PhD to industry and postdoc then to academia. I would say that's the transition normally people.
So if somebody need to stay in, not in India, outside of India. So after PhD, industry is easy, as you said. Industry transition is easier compared to the academia. So why people, as you said, that most of the people they prefer industry, not academia. What is the reason? Is it because the transition to industry easy at that moment, or is it because the future prospect of industry is better, the income is more than academia? What is the reason?
Income is more.
Okay.
You get a stability.
Okay.
You get a stability because if you are in European countries and if you want to set up a family, you need more income because that's one of the things. And also, your mental stability is much more stable in industry because again, if you're doing a postdoc, you're under someone, right? and you are very much focused on, okay, you need to produce this result, you need to be on time, you need to be on, like, this more than professionalism, I would say, in academia. Whereas in industry, you are more strict to the timeline you're working. Let's say 9 to 5 I work, I go home, I spend time with my family and stuff. So that's also a mental satisfaction that you have. And again, cost of living plays a bigger role when you're planning your future. So that's the thing. Some people who tends to choose academia is only one of the reasons that they're very very passionate about the field. Like they want to set up their own lab and they want to, not work under someone else. So that's one, or they want to teach or something sort of. That's one of the other lot of people who choose academia. Otherwise, like the majority trend, like I was seeing my university cohort only. So last year, 20 students registered as a PhD, and the pass out students, 16 of them transitioned to industry, and four of them went to academia. So that's a trend we are seeing nowadays. So that's what it's blooming right now. So because they are paying you like exact double. Like let's say if you are getting in your postdoc around $70,000 per year in US, you in industry your salary starts from one thousand $120,000. So it's like exactly like 1.5x. So which is like again good.
Right. Yeah. So obviously that's the result is showing it 16 out of 20 in industry and 4 out of 20 in academia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and one vital question also here, which is something that Indian students always have in their mind: color discrimination. And is like this is something that, because we are discussing about all these things, so I need to talk about all the aspects. So how do you think about color discrimination in particularly other European countries, in UK particularly, and in US? What is like, how do you rank them? How is it there?
Of academia. I think I would touch upon Europe a bit because that's one of the reasons I chose not to not to pursue my PhD in Europe. It's like problem in US is although they talk about diversity, they don't showcase it on their recruitment drives. So let's say in a university, in a German university or in any XYZ university where there are like 52 professors or 60 professors, you will see only 2 3 professors which are the people of color. So although they preach that we are open, we are diverse, but when it comes to giving the higher post, they are not that open. So this is one of the partial racism I would say they have. They accept it, like because I was in the lab of one of the people who was in the committee, and I told him directly that this is what we this is one my reason why I'm not choosing Europe, and he accepts it. He was like, we are trying to like make into consideration which might change in future, which might change in 10 years, the ratio might change, but as of now it's the case, like out of 60 only 2 people who are like at least people of color. uh, and in UK I think it's again similar because they have a lot of like uh, Indian American, Indian background people. There's a lot of Asian background people. So again, there's a miss. There and also like to notice like in US and UK, if you are in a place where it is like little outskirt or little like little far away from the main city, you might face a little racism because there are like Orthodox people out there from the UK or from which is also true in Europe, which will like you will face a little racism. But that's there everywhere. That's there everywhere. But majority, in terms of professionalism, I would say you don't face that much racism in US and UK as compared to what you face in Europe at some professional level.
I believe you have a clear idea regarding what are the parameters important to think while applying PhD abroad, and we have talked about all the important parameters. If you still have some queries, you can ask that query in the comment section, and also you can get the contact of Vibhash from this description. You have that, you can contact him and ask your queries there. He will help you in framing a proper SOP and also help you to apply in the foreign universities. But again, personal preferences might vary, so depending upon your preferences, whether you need a better work life balance, whether you need to be in the field of academia, whether you need to feel in the field of to be in the field of let's say industry. Depending upon all these parameters, your selection process might vary. So never always go for the brand, go for the practicality. So the practicality study and reality check is provided by this video. I believe it is provided. If this video helps you out in some way, please hit the like button, share this video with your friends and colleagues, subscribe to this channel to get more videos like that in future. And if you want to know what are the exact 5-step process from start to the end to continue applying for the PhD abroad, PhD in US, PhD in UK, PhD in European countries or Asian countries, then there is a separate video for that in this channel. You can watch that video. Actually, this series of 6 videos that are out there in this particular playlist all are dedicated to make you ready to be eligible to do PhD abroad, and you're going to get it from here and you can try it yourself. It's going to help you definitely. So I'll see you in the next video. Subscribe to this channel.